Hey folks, I'm here with one smart ace and we're out here in the round pen this afternoon, and we're just working on some ground control stuff, and Oni decided that he thought it would be a good idea to show us a little liberty, so I wanted to share it with you guys. He just offered it. We wouldn't come out here to work on it by any means, but some of the stuff he was offering is what you consider to be for a liberty horse, so I figured I'd show it with you guys. So I'll flip you around here and we'll get started. And so around him we've got some actually on the back side here are some brood mares, and they're due probably in a month or so, but he's doing super good. It's gonna be kind of tough because I'm right on top of him here, but we'll go ahead and change directions. Ask him to trot. And so with these guys, it's gonna be super fun because Oni's actually, we've been working on some ranch horse work with him and doing some roping. He's going to a cow clinic next week, and so we're just trying to keep him fresh and keep him interested in what we're doing. And we came out here just to kind of get some basics on his footwork, and he just came right in. He's like, I'll actually offer some liberty stuff to you. So it was a pretty neat little deal. And he hasn't got up to the canter, but for asking him to do this at the trot, and he's staying right here with me, it's super neat. I'll flip you back around here. So this is pretty fun stuff for me. I mean, it's when a horse comes out here and tries like this and you don't even ask it of him, then you can't hardly beat it. So one smart ace, he's a 2011 Appaloosa Stallion, and he is going to the ranch horse stuff here in the next couple of weeks, and he's kind of looking off there at some of the mares behind him. But he came out here and he was talking to him a little bit, but we kind of refocused his attention, and we're going to give him another go here so you guys can kind of check out to see what he's doing. Hey there, Cheryl. You know that with the Liberty horse stuff, with their head, it's kind of like keeping those two eyes, and it's not something that I've required of him in the groundwork because I've been working on his straightness quite a bit. But with this Liberty horse stuff, it's really interesting how it works out, because all Liberty is just really good groundwork. And so this horse is super sensitive little guy, and we'll stop him there for a second. But so when he came in towards me, I was just asking him to canter around because he was hollering at these mares, and and when he was hollering at these mares, I was just moving his feet around. I was like, okay, we're going to control the direction you're going. We're going to control how you change directions. And he turned away from me about 1 or 2 times, and I was like, oh, we're not going to have any of that. That was really good. So I'll keep talking with you guys since you guys are here, and that's pretty neat. And about that time, he started changing directions and getting really close to me, and I didn't really want to push him away, because normally you might, because with a younger horse that's not as seasoned. Now this is a little filly right behind him, so he's going to get a little wide on me, because that little mare that just came up, and he kind of thinks that's his girlfriend. So you guys might get to see a little bit here, but what he'll do is he'll go around to the outside, and I'll step back and try to catch his eye, and I'll just draw him back in towards me. And as soon as he gets back with me, I'm going to stop. And so that way he starts to learn that when he's with me, that's a good spot to be. And you know, like I said earlier in the video, I didn't come out here with the intention to do any Liberty stuff. I mean, I like the riding and the ranch horse and the roping, but when a horse is going to offer something like this, and you know, this stuff's it's fun to play around with. It's kind of like a trick. You know, so for him, if we can kind of get him going doing this kind of stuff, and he's staying right here with me, so I'll stop him again. It'll be a good way to maybe, you know, once a week or something like that, we might take him out in the arena and just do some Liberty stuff, so that we keep him fresh. I mean, I jump him around the arena a little bit. We might have a jumping day, and we're not doing anything crazy, but just enough to keep him going. So I ask him to trot here. And with these Liberty horses, guys, like, you know, when you first start them, just getting them at the walk is super good. And as you'll notice as you ask them to trot, that they might start to get wider on you. Here, Oni, your one smart ace, he's staying right with me. So, and I'm not big on verbal cues, but he's kind of, at one point in my training, I wasn't really aware, hadn't enough self-awareness about what I was saying when I was riding, because I'd talk to him. It'd be like teaching lessons to nobody in the arena, and he started to pick up on some of the things. And so he does have a bit of a verbal cue on him now. It's not something I intentionally did, to be honest, but so this is super cool. I'll see if I can get it back to you guys can kind of see. And I'll do a change of direction here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk away from him. I'm going to walk back out towards here. I'm going to turn and we'll end up just changing direction. So I'll actually turn my back towards him, and he'll kind of come straight towards me, and then I turn and we changed eyes. And so, or I could walk towards his hip, and he's gonna keep disengaging his hindquarters, and then when I turn back around, he's on the other side of me. So definitely didn't come out here with the intention to work on this, and I'm not gonna do it so much that he loses interest in it, because it's definitely something that we could use to our advantage, and maybe something he'll enjoy quite a bit. Be good for like a demo or something like that. He's doing pretty good. That little mare back there, she's a granddaughter of Smart Little Lena, and they kind of have the hots for each other, to be honest. And then back over here is a group of brood mares that are all in foal. They're due next month, or 1st of April. So for a stallion to be out here, this is his second time in this round pen. I haven't had him back here too much because he was far enough along that I could go straight to the arena with him when we got to this facility. And it looks like there's a few more folks tuning in. Guys, this is kind of a spur of the moment live session with one smart ace here. I just came out here to work with him on the ground and do some season. As he keeps looking back, I'll keep talking to you guys, but I'll just keep his attention here. There we go. I don't want him to get too interested in that little filly. We came out here just to do some ground stuff and work on his feet, on his footwork, and he started kind of getting in closer to me at the walk and the trot, and he was offering what was some considered to be some liberty work, so I kind of just ran with it. If you guys got any questions, we might do a little Q&A right now with this guy, because I didn't get to talk too much about him during the Q&A the other evening. But so if you guys got any questions, you know, shoot them my way. I'll keep working with this guy, and I'll do as best I can to kind of give you guys the action here on the phone. Make sure you guys can see what we're doing. But I was just asking him to move around me, and so I'll step back, and I've just got like a regular lunge whip. I mean, I've done some fair bit of liberty stuff, just kind of, I haven't really figured it out. I'm really green at it, but understand some basic fundamentals of it. And so I just got a lunge whip because I came out here to do just some basic, you know, round pin work to control the direction he was going and control how he was changing directions. And so he started getting close in on me, and then all of a sudden we've got the beginnings of what you can consider a liberty horse, guys. So he's a real sensitive little horse, and with the liberty horses it does help, you know, when they're more sensitive and they're really in tune with where you're standing. I know some folks have got a lot of women up playing around with it, and so I've had a little bit of experience with it from where I worked last, but you know, that was just real green. So I'm just kind of figuring it out for myself here and trying to see what we can do. And Oni seems to be taking right to it. So he was getting a little close to me, because what ends up happening with these liberty horses is that as you move them around you, sometimes they'll get to walking towards you because I'm stepping back. And at the clinics, you'll hear me say, if anything, do not step back. But for these liberty horses, what you'll notice is he'll start to get wide on me like that, and I'll step back because I don't have anything to attach to him. So it's a fine line between getting him to stay with me and not coming on top of me, and also not going away from me. So we start to build these circles, and when you're first starting off, you have a really small circle. They're almost like trotting on your toes, almost literally. And as they get more experienced and they can become more understanding that they're to be with you, then you can start to make your circles bigger. And so that's just kind of what we're doing with this guy. I came out here with a few play toys. I mean, I brought a tarp out and some ground poles, and I was going to work with him on that. But I just figured I'd share that with you guys. It was kind of neat, and I'll leave it up on the Facebook page, so in case any of you guys that tuned in a little bit later wanted to check out the very beginning of it. We were just doing a little bit of liberty work with Oni here, and so we've got a Peter Campbell cow clinic coming up in, oh gosh, about a month right now. We got a month to keep moving towards that, and this guy will be fun. We're doing some herd work and cow work in the morning, and then some ranch roping in the afternoon. So it'll be a good group of folks there at the Cowtown Arena, and then we'll see what's in store for this guy. We're gonna do some APHC shows with him. We got one in Cloverdale, Indiana. It's the 31st. I think it's the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd from March and April, and we're gonna do some other shows with him. And then for the clinics that they want to have a demo at, well, we might haul this guy up and do a little bit of a demonstration or ride him during the clinic, so you guys can kind of see what's going on. And But if you guys got any questions about this guy, be sure to shoot him. I'll be glad to answer them for you. He's a pretty cool guy. I've had him since August 1st of 2016, and he showed up. When he showed up, they had used him as a teaser stud unintentionally. The owners didn't send him there to be used for that purpose, but the folks kind of abused the right they had with him, and that's why they left that place, and they brought him to me. And so he showed up, and he was the definition of a teaser stud. He was yelling, screaming, hollering. I mean, it didn't matter what it was. He'd yell and scream at me, and so his saddle work was very, very green. And so we've just gone back through and kind of essentially done a restart on him, and then tried to figure out what direction he enjoyed most. And you know, unfortunately, with the showing, the horse didn't write the rules, is like Ray Hunt would say. The people wrote the rules, so they dictate what horses should look like and all that stuff. And he's a bit of an older horse for some of the Western divisions that are based on age. So I just went ahead and we were trying to figure it out how he'd go, and based on what was required of him in the show pen, we're like, you know, this ranch horse stuff is really honestly what I enjoy. I would enjoy doing some other stuff. I mean, my fiance rides hunter jumpers, and I've had the privilege to ride some of those big old warm bloods. And so I've got, you know, it's a privilege to ride everything, but unfortunately sometimes the show pen dictates what we're going to be doing or what's required of these horses. And so we're trying to figure out what works best for this guy. And for being a stallion, you know, he's got a really good disposition. You know, I mean, when we showed up, I was like, holy moly. I mean, teaser stud is one thing, but you know, for him to have that exposure, so that was a more difficult change of direction there, guys. I just took that whip kind of up under his chin and changed direction, so that was pretty neat. But we just kind of worked through a lot of this stuff and building his confidence, and we've got a long ways to go. I mean, he had a bit of a rap sheet when I first got him, so we're just taking it one day at a time. And I'll keep on going, buddy. I'm kind of using my elbow here that's holding the camera to kind of help keep him out a little bit, but I wanted to kind of show you, see how his feet are tracking. You can see he's kind of staying on a circle there, and he's staying bent on this circle. I mean, his whole head and neck stays to the inside on a lateral flexion. There he gets a bit wide, so I'll step back, draw him in, and as he comes back in, I'm going to try, instead of letting him come straight to my shoulder like I had done before, I'm going to say, hey, how about you stay back on that circle? And that's where we start to build in that responsibility for him to keep tracking around us here. And so I'll change direction again. So I'll take the whip up underneath, step back, and ask him to keep moving. And so, I mean, guys, I am super impressed with this little horse. Like, I haven't done any of this Liberty stuff with him. I had a feeling when I was at the facility before this, and I had a feeling, like, you know, just based on his sensitivity, like how good he would be. But I haven't ever played around with it, just because we've had a lot of stuff to address with him being under saddle. Good job, buddy. And so, you know, he's fairly clean. He's been living outside the last couple of nights because it's been so nice here. I was wanting them to stay outside as much as they could, because when we get on the road, unfortunately, they spend a lot of times in stalls. So, and every time I go into a stall, I don't want to feel like I'm either going to be feeding him or working him. So this is a bit different for this guy. And yeah, Tanya, you know, I honestly had worked with a few Appies before this guy, but definitely wasn't the primary horse. I mean, I've had mules and donkeys and thoroughbreds and quarter horses and just gaited horses of all sorts and stuff. But this was, you know, I hadn't really worked much with the Appies. You know, to me, they're just another horse. They just got a different coat on them. So, and this guy, he's been pretty fun. Like, hey, I'd consider him part of my team right now. I know Journey Farms up in Ohio for John and Whitley, they actually own this guy, but I've just been blessed to be able to keep him in the barn for a couple months. It's been almost 6 months now, and for as far as he's come, like, I'm super excited for where he's going to go. And we're not offering him at stud this year, but because we wanted to focus on getting his education going really well, because this guy has a great disposition. I mean, for anyone, you know, you're looking at breeding a horse, but with the market is right now and everything like that, we're like, you know, let's just focus on owning and give him what he needs, and all that'll come. Because I mean, when a horse can come out here and have brood mares on one side, a little filly that lives down the barn aisle from him over here, and he can come out here at Liberty and focus and pay attention and have some fun. And he's only been in this round pen one other time, and so I'm you know, I can't ask much more from him for that. But if you guys are tuning in, and the numbers keep fluctuating on me, and just about the time I think I'm gonna stop talking here, some more folks tune in. So if you got questions, or let us know where you're from, because I can't see who's tuning in. I can just see how many people are here. So for a Sunday afternoon, a little Sunday fun day with One Smart Ace, we're having some fun. And so thanks, Nikki. Yeah, he's a looker. He's a good stud horse. He's 2011, and so well, no, he's not 2011. Sorry about that, guys. He's 7 this year, so he'll be 2010. Switched years on me, so we're just having some fun doing some Liberty work. And you know, I can kind of show you, like, he's going good enough that if I asked him to canter right now, he's gonna get wide. He's trying so hard to be good. I gotta let him stop. So he's like trying to pick up that canter, but he's so bent to the inside because he wants to stay with me that he knows, like, if I get too wide, he's gonna try to ask me to come back. So what I'll do is, instead of just asking him to go straight to the canter, I'll just say, hey, can we extended trot? And so, and what we'll start working on too is, before, when I was talking with you guys, I was backing up a little bit to keep him staying with me. Now I'm pivoting. And this is just where he starts, you'll see that his circle is more like an egg shape, because he's got to figure out. So I'll have this whip kind of at his shoulder and say, hey, you need to stick out. And what sometimes will happen is he'll be like, oh, so you're asking me to leave? I'm like, no, actually, I'm just asking you to stay a little further away from me. And so when he stays on that side of the circle, when he stayed out that time, I just stop and let him just hang out. So, hey there, Shelly. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't get to talk about this guy the other evening on the Q&A too much, and when I got done, I was like, oh man, I didn't have much question about him, but I had a feeling it was a little bit my fault, because we've been trying to do the 1 minute with One Smart Ace video series, and we've got a barn full here right now, and that's been a true blessing. But when I'm the one trying to video myself and also try to edit the videos and plan a wedding with my fiance, you know, it's kind of a lot sometimes. And so I've tried to get some action of this guy, and just came out here to play with this guy. I was like, well, heck, we didn't get to talk about them the other evening, so why don't we go ahead and show you guys what he's been up to. So we're just doing a little, I came out here with no intention in doing this with Liberty stuff, and I was just gonna work at getting his feet, changing his direction, changing it up, because he's had the weekend, he had yesterday off, and he was a little bit grouchy in his stall when I took him, and they spent the night outside, because I was like, you guys just be horses and be outside, because it was so nice. And there you go, keep going, buddy. And I'm gonna change direction. So there, I went to change directions, and he got wide on me, so I'll step back until he comes back towards me. So I just wanted to show you guys a little bit. He's been a super fun horse. He's taught me a lot. He's been challenging at times, and you know, it's a problem-solving case some days, and it's just a learning experience and teaching him stuff. We're so close to a flying lead change with this guy, and it's just been something that he's struggled with a little bit, and so we're so close. We're about one stride. We've got a one trot stride in between our flying lead change. And so I took him down the indoor the other day, and we could get 3 changes going down, but we were one stride off. And so just trying to find ways to help him close the gap a little bit and keep going. So that's what we got, guys. That's Oni there, and so he'll be with us here on the road this next year, and we'll do some more Q&As. That was a lot of fun for me. I enjoyed doing the Q&A with you guys. I didn't nearly expect it to go for as long as it did, but we can talk more about One Smart Ace here, because he's part of the family at this point. He's been around for a while, and we're having a lot of fun. He's going to a clinic next month for cow working with Peter Campbell, so we get to participate in that. And then we also get to go ahead and, if we were closer, Shelly, that would be great. I would really appreciate somebody if they could do that, because you know, it's fun when we get to ride as many as I get to ride every day and work with them. And but I'm trying to provide you guys with some educational content and kind of see what we're doing. So that was a little bit with One Smart Ace. We're gonna take him in, give him some grain. I went in there to feed him, and honestly, guys, why this started was that I had set his grain bucket out because we're working on our horses. Like, one of my pet peeves is when you walk in the barn and they're screaming to be fed. And so I had some ideas and I'd changed some things up, but then I realized as soon as about the time when you change things up and you start a routine, your horses catch on to your routine. So my routine went from feeding them in the morning and the evenings, like a lot of people do, to I was like, you know, we're gonna feed them twice a day. We're gonna make sure they get the grain they need, but I'm gonna start to feed them either when I bring them in, and because I had a few that were hard to catch, and so I'd go out and just rub on them in the paddock, and then sometimes I'd catch them, sometimes I wouldn't, and then when they came in, most of the time they'd have grain in their stall, or I'd put grain in their stall. I wouldn't have it in the bucket before they got in there, because otherwise when you go to unhalter them, they'll zip around the other side because they think there's grain in there. So then we worked on that, and then with this guy, it's like we're just setting the grain out in front of their stalls because they hear the grain pour into the bucket, or they see the buckets that they get fed with. And this guy, he's just kind of being a bit of a shark. He didn't offer to bite like that means, but he just pinned his ears back, and I'd walk into his stall and he'd run over to his bucket and he'd be like looking at me like, hey, you're gonna dump that in there for me, right? And so I was like, you know, they don't need to be that way. Like, none of them, mare, gelding, stallion, whatever, pony, horse, you know, whatever it is, they don't need to be acting that way. So he hasn't got his grain yet, to be honest with you. He had hay earlier, but I went into his stall a couple of times, and the third or fourth time I went in there, he was getting better about it. And about the fifth time I walked in there, he just went to pin his ears, but I had the halter in my hand too with the bucket. And so what I did was I went ahead and I just haltered him up and I brought him out here, and I was like, you know, maybe every time you think that I walk into your stall, I'm either feeding you or I'm getting you out of work or I'm turning you out, but that was about it. And I walk through my barn and I'll rub on my horses just occasionally when you walk through, because I don't want them to always associate me walking in there and being that way with them, or like just I want something from them, or I'm gonna give them feed. It needs to vary up a little bit. So he pinned his ears at me, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And he wasn't he was pinning his ears because he's just like, I want it now, I want it now. He wasn't like being aggressive pinning. He was just like irritated that I hadn't gave him his grain yet. So I was like, okay, so if you think you're gonna act this way, then, and he thinks I'm gonna feed him, I just went ahead and haltered him up, and I was like, let's go to work. So I'll take him back in here in a little bit, and we'll put him back in his stall, and I'll walk in there with the grain bucket again, and if he pins his ears, I'll just walk out. And normally when you have a horse that pins your ears at you, you wouldn't walk away from him, and that was something that Warwick Schiller had one of his videos. But instead of walking away this time, it's because I have something they want. And whereas normally if they pin your ears, like, you're going to address the issue. Well, addressing the issue based on what he had said in one of his videos was that you just don't give them what they want. After a few times of them realizing, hey, you know, if I have this crabby attitude, then you know what we can do is maybe if I kind of lightened up a little bit and just was respectful about my grain and everything, then right, Oni? If you just put your ears up like that and you look pretty when I go to give you your grain, then you'll get your grain. But it's just something like it's a pet peeve of mine, guys. Like, I don't really like to have any of my horses acting that way. I don't care if it's one of my own or trained horse. Like, they need to be respectful at all times. So there's a couple other people. I'll just do one more time with this guy, and then we're gonna jump off here because I got some other horses to get to. So I'll just show you guys. We were doing some little Sunday Fun Day Liberty stuff with Oni, and so here's my buddy. He's like, I thought we were done, but this is good. So I'm just asking to move around. We didn't come out here to work on this, so you got a little close there, and I just changed my body position, and so now he's starting to stay a little further out, and this is good because I should be able to like step back and I should be able to draw him in closer. And as I change my body position, particularly my shoulders, whoop, gonna get wide. I step back. That was a little. That's okay. He's like, this isn't something we worked on, guys. This is honestly the first time. But all the Liberty stuff is refined groundwork and having that much of a connection. So he's getting a little wide. There we go. And I'll actually change directions. So there you go, buddy. So this guy does a lot of groundwork. I do a fair bit, at least with mine. I at least kind of spin them around before I jump on them, just to make sure that they're loosened up, they're relaxed, and particularly after the weekend, it's always good to do some do some groundwork with them, because sometimes they're feeling a bit fresh and being here in Kentucky, we've had a fair bit of cool weather, so sometimes they come out feeling pretty good, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just gotta understand it and warm them up right and cool them down and keep on going. So guys, there's one smart ace. He's going to be on the road with us this year a little bit to go into some clinics and clinics of mine, participating in some clinics. And if folks ask for demos, then he might be one of the horses that tags along with my new horse Teton, who can't see him from here, but he's down in the paddock. So anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. If you got any questions, be sure to holler at us and ask us. And we're going to do another Q&A here in the next couple of days. And a little plug in for you guys, there's actually going to be a Q&A that I found out about tomorrow with a good friend of mine, Patrick King. He's coming up from BC Foundation Station down in Ocala. He's been down there, and he's swinging by here, and we're going to do a little bit of videoing, I think, and hanging out, because we've got some exciting news with working with Patrick, and there has been word of a live Q&A with the two of us tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. We don't have a time, but if I talk to Patrick, I'll be sure to let you guys know. And thanks for tuning in. Oni, tell everybody bye, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks, guys.